Okay, John back again, and I'm trapped in this rabbit hole trying to get out, and I haven't slept in like 2 days figuring this out. But whole thing is, I started off part one of this about this Quartz record, which always reminded me of this Warsaw Pact record, but they're completely unrelated. 1977 heavy metal, 1977 punk rock, and I was trapped in the rabbit hole. We were just back to the Warsaw Pact and about Wayne Kramer and the Pink Fairies. So this is where we're stuck at. And the Pink Fairies have Larry Wallace, so I just want to show Larry Wallace 45. And this is the song On Parole, which you might know from Motorhead. And actually, I think it's the A side, is Police Car, Killer, and it's on Stiff Records, 1977, probably. Actually, I don't know what year this is. Well, anyway, we're going to move fast because we're really trapped. And, well, Larry Wallace, of course, founding member of Motorhead. So we'll show Motorhead, and I'm showing the Leather No Remorse record. And I don't know what year this was, 84 on the bronze label. Really cool package. Nice inners. So we got to get out of here. So Motorhead had a drummer called Pete Gill. I mean, after Phil the Animal Tail left, Pete Gill joined, and there's this is the Kill by Death 12-inch, and there's Pete Gill, great drummer, who is from Saxon, the early classic Saxons, and there's Pete Gill. But before Pete Gill joined Saxon, he was actually the drummer for Gary Glitter, and he was up on the early records. It doesn't have his name in here, and there's no pictures of him, but Gary Glitter had two drummers, and Pete Gill was one of them on the early stuff. He quit before the song Leader of the Gang, I believe. So he should be on this. I think this is Gary Glitter's first Gary Glitter Band record. And that always reminds me of this, I'm the Leader of the Gang, and this is Gary Glitter with Girls School, and this is 12-inch, and is Gary Glitter with Girls School. He sings backups, and he produced it, and it's his song. He's with them. But not a great record, but pretty interesting to have. And Girls School, of course, put out Head Girl with Motorhead. And that kind of just brings us back into a dead end. So that's not really going to help us get out of this rabbit hole. So we're stuck at Motorhead. So we'll try a different member. We're going to try on the, what's this, fourth record, Another Perfect Day. 1, 2, 3. Is it the fourth? Overkill, Ace of Spades. The fifth record. Well, actually sixth if you count the live. Another Perfect Day. Great record. And what is this on? Mercury Bronze. And there's original press with the comic in there. And we're going to try Brian Robertson. Here's a better picture of him. Great, and this is really a great record. It took years for people to appreciate this record. I think this is my wife's favorite Motorhead record, but this is really a great record. But it was panned originally. But anyway, Brian Robertson, of course, was from Thin Lizzy, and this is Fighting from 1975, and this is on one of those UFO Vertigo labels. Pretty cool. So at Thin Lizzy, people might not know, but Scott Gorham, Brian Downey, and Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy had a band called the Greedies with Paul Cook and Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols. And this is also actually on Vertigo. And it's Christmas. It's actually a Christmas 45. And there's their autographs. So we're now at the Sex Pistols. And this is a nice early press of West German press of Great Rock and Roll Swindle gatefold, which I'm not going to open. But Steve Jones and Paul Cook from the Sex Pistols formed a band called the Professionals. And this is 1980 Virgin. Pretty cool stuff after the Pistols. I think I've showed this before. And now they don't list all the members, but I believe somehow, well, anyway, they were also in the Lightning Raiders, Paul Cook and Steve Jones. And I have a 12-inch of the Lightning Raiders, which I cannot find for me. I think it's a promo one. But Duncan Sanderson was in the Lightning Raiders, who was in the Pink Fairies, and George Butler was in the Deviants, and the Deviants and Pink Fairies are together. But George Butler also, I think, was the drummer from Ian Dury. So we're back kind of the Pink Fairies, and we're back into a dead end. And if I start getting into Ian Dury, we could go off a different direction. I'd end up in like Chris's Vinyl Transmission channel. But we have to go back to the Sex Pistols. We're going to end up back to the Pink Fairies that way. So early Sex Pistols, Glenn Matlock, the original bass player on this live record, Burton-on-Trent, and obviously replaced by Sid Vicious. But Glenn Matlock had a band after he left the Pistols called the Rich Kids. And this is really good post-punk, almost a little power pop in there, but still wild enough to fall into punk. And this is a really good record. Ghosts of Princess Towers, which is a really nice track. But the singer-guitar player in this band was Major from Ultravox. The second singer from Ultravox, maybe the fourth album on. John Fox was the original singer. They were really good punk band, almost artsy punk, like Roxy Music. Great first two records, Ultravox. This one's alright. It's a little more keyboardy and new wavy. And there's Major. Major ended up joining Thin Lizzy. He was a guitar player for Thin Lizzy. There's some good footage of this short-haired guy playing with Thin Lizzy. So that's kind of a dead end. That brings us back to Thin Lizzy. So pick it up back with Brian Robertson. And I think I can see a way out of here. So Brian Robertson, after Motorhead, was in a band called Wild Horses. And in Wild Horses, we've got Neil Murray, which is, I think that's Neil Murray. I hope so. It could be this guy, but I think that's Neil Murray, who was in UFO. He replaced Paul Raymond's spot as guitar keyboard. And this is maybe the last good, this isn't a great record, but probably the last good record of the original UFO era. Pete Way's still on bass. And but Neil Carter, and I think Neil Carter went on like Wasted, and he played with a lot of stuff. But and at this record, at this point, I could go to basically any band in rock and roll besides like one-off self-contained groups. Maybe I can't get to the Beach Boys, or the Kinks, maybe not. But I could get to almost any band when I'm being around here, this Motorhead UFO era. But Neil Carter replaced Paul Raymond. And Paul Raymond, I'm just going off on a tangent to show you I could go anywhere. Paul Raymond, before Paul Raymond, was Danny Peyronel was the keyboard player for UFO. And Danny was in the Heavy Metal Kids, a great London band, kind of like a punk rock Faces. But the singer of this band was Gary Holton. And Gary Holton actually sang with the Damned for a bit. But now we're going off on a tangent. But let's go back to Wild Horses, because we don't want to get stuck back in UFO and Paul Gray and back to the Eddie and the Hot Rods. Wild Horses, the main guy of the band is the great Jimmy Bain. And Jimmy Bain, who's the actually singer and bass player of this record, was of course in the classic Dio era. And Jimmy Bain and Vinny Appice and Ronnie Dio, obviously in Dio, who were in Black Sabbath. And Black Sabbath, this is featuring Vinny Appice, Ronnie James Dio, and if you look, on keyboards is Jeff Nichols. Jeff Nichols, of course, from Quartz. And this is also produced by Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath. So finally, I'm out of the rabbit hole, and we somehow got from Quartz to the Warsaw Pact and back. And so that's it, guys. Thanks for sticking around, and now I could get some sleep.